Since butterflies have such brief lives, the zoo must continually replenish their population. In the wild, each butterfly lays its eggs on a particular plant. When the caterpillar hatches, the plant provides a ready-made food source. Here in the butterfly house, the insects have their own special nursery. The keepers carefully collect each egg one by one, then take them to a nearby hatching facility. Here they will go through one of the most spectacular changes in nature, metamorphosis. Although the butterfly lays the eggs, a caterpillar is hatched. This climate-controlled greenhouse nurtures members from some 15 Australian species, up to 5,000 at one time. After the eggs hatch, the keepers will give the newborn caterpillars their own plant to feed on, which will take them through several stages of growth.
Caterpillars cannot grow like humans do. They actually have a solid skin around them which can't expand. So as the body grows itself, it sort of has to get rid of the old skin so that its body can actually enlarge. And it does that 4 to 5 times. Once it's to its final stage as a caterpillar, it will then find a resting place on the plant, attach itself with a bit of silk, and start transforming itself into what's called a pupa. And that's the dormant stage in which initially the caterpillar, now it's a pupa, will turn into a butterfly.
To ensure its safety, once the caterpillar becomes a pupa or cocoon, the keepers detach it and place it in a sponge-like cavity.
It doesn't take up any food. It just sits there maybe for 2 or 3 weeks. But basically when they're ready, they then burst open and out comes the butterfly. First the wings are only tiny little stumps, and as the butterfly comes out and hangs upside down, blood gets pumped into the wings and they unfold and harden maybe in 1 or 2 hours, and then it can fly.
25,000 of these delicate creatures are introduced to the butterfly house each year. As they flutter their gossamer wings, it's easy to forget that butterflies are really insects and not magical beings who can eternally enchant us.
Here you go, baby.
Nothing says Australia like a koala. It's certainly one of the Down Under's best ambassadors to America. Although sleeping 18 hours a day, it's not exactly a party animal.
Yeah, good girl.
The koala lives most of its life in the eucalyptus trees, which is fortunate, considering that the leaves are about all it eats. It's no wonder koalas end up smelling like eucalyptus cough drops. At Busch Gardens in Tampa, Florida, both the public and zookeepers have anxiously waited to see the new koala baby. This Joey, or baby, is a first for the program at Busch Gardens. Kunara was actually born 6 months ago to Adele, a 10-year-old Queensland koala. But koalas aren't fully developed when they're born, so Kunara stayed hidden away in his mother's pouch until recently, while he grew into this huggable, furry baby.
He'll start venturing out and just experimenting, seeing what it's like over in this branch without mom. But he might get a little upset and then run back and hold on to her.
Busch Gardens is also home to the Dama wallaby, the smallest member of the kangaroo family.
The Dama wallaby used to be very abundant, but due to brush fires and habitat destruction and natural predators, they've been reduced. So now they're protected by legislation by the government. Many times the wallabies, for reasons we may not even know, do get rejected by the mothers and come out of the pouch. In the wild, of course, this wallaby would not reach adulthood, but thanks to the success of the Busch Gardens breeding program, we have the facilities here to provide more or less a natural habitat for the wallaby to grow in. And it also gets numerous amounts of feedings of milk to compensate for the milk we would be getting on a constant basis inside the mother's pouch. The joey feeds very easily. They don't suck like a monkey would. They lap it up, so it does feed kind of slow, but it's hard to get the nipple into the small mouth. Not taking any more? Let's get them out. In the mother's pouch, there's humidity, and the natural oils from the mother would keep the joey, which has no hair until about 4 or 5 months, it would keep it nice and soft. We have to provide it with mineral oils, which we rub on maybe twice a day. The joey, we think, is about 3 months old, and the joey would stay in the isolette for at least up to 6 months. After it would leave here, we'd probably be introduced to another wallaby so it could start to relate to other wallabies.
One of the biggest Australian exhibits outside of Australia is the Fort Wayne's Children's Zoo in Indiana. Jack and his friend Brooke Breslin explore the outback from a new perspective. There's nothing like meeting a roo face to face. This remarkable animal can hop as much as 27 feet and run 40 miles per hour. It uses its heavy tail like a rudder when it's running, and when resting, as a handy support. In the kangaroo walkabout, no barriers separate visitors from the friendly residents.
Huh? They saw too his nose. That's something. Do you hop like a kangaroo? Huh? Here, sit up. I'll stretch your belly. Come here. Come on. Less than a decade.
Most of the time, the mother roos rear their own joeys. Even after they leave the pouch, the youngsters come back for meal times. But once in a while, the keepers have to help out a little.
Elaine, did you hand raise this kangaroo?
Yes, I did.
Wasn't it difficult to raise a baby kangaroo?
Took a lot of time.
And what was wrong with her?
She had a broken leg, and she had an external pin on her leg, and her mom wouldn't take her back in the pouch.
Is her leg all right?
It's just fine. She hops just as well as the rest of the kangaroos.
Now, how old are they when they come out of the pouch?
This type of kangaroo, they're usually about 6 months old when you first see their head out of the pouch, and they stay in and out of the pouch until they're about 11 months old.
Now, how old is she now?
She's about 2 years old now.
Obviously, you don't have a pouch. How'd you raise her?
I carried her in a fake pouch around my neck and took her every place I went.
A fake pouch around your neck?
Mm-hmm.
God, what do people think about that?
Well, my mother got very embarrassed when we went to the grocery store in the frozen food section. She got kind of active.
They thought you were going to have a baby, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
She learned to play with my dogs.
So now you're introducing her to other kangaroos?
Right, she's going to meet the other kangaroos and hopefully learn to be happy down here in the yard with the rest of our roos.
Boy, she looks happy. You wouldn't even know she broke her leg. Well, thanks for joining us. I hope you've enjoyed meeting these creatures from down under as much as I have. Please keep in mind that no matter where we live, the city, suburbs, or the country, we're sharing the world with wild animals that deserve our attention and respect. Be sure to join us next time on Zoo Life, when I'll introduce you to some more of our Earth's magnificent creatures. Anheuser-Busch Steam Park's Conservation Moment. The pledge made real. Koalas may not be in immediate danger, but like so many animals on the planet, their future is in doubt. Work being done at Busch Gardens in Florida may one day help ensure their survival.
The koala from Australia is a very interesting animal from a zoo standpoint because it is not an endangered species, but is an animal that zoos are working with to attempt to understand more and more about this animal. The koala is being threatened in Australia because of habitat destruction. There are disease processes that are going through the koalas, and the biggest problem is the koala is totally dependent upon the eucalyptus tree, which is being eliminated in some areas.
Eucalyptus trees are being clear-cut to provide land for agriculture and for housing development. This creates problems for all tree-dwelling animals, and especially for the finicky koala.
The koala is not an adaptable animal. It eats only eucalyptus leaves, and in zoos and in captivity at this point in time, there has been a lot of research that's been going on to possibly create a man-made diet for our koalas that would allow them not to totally rely upon their native and historic diet. So that's one area that zoos are helping in dealing with a non-endangered species, and zoos are trying to get ahead of the endangered status in many species. With the way the world is and the future for so many animals being very bleak, it's very important for zoos to work with animals before they become at a critical point.
Anheuser-Busch theme parks, the pledge made real.